Hi everyone, my name is Alessandra and I am a member of the Italian movement Students Against Green Pass. We founded our movement in the first days of August to challenge the government decision to make the possession of the Green Pass mandatory for all university students, at least if we wish to attend lectures, take tests, join traineeships and laboratories, or if we want to enter university spaces like classrooms and libraries. However, in the past 5 months, our government, led by the unelected banker Mario Draghi, hasn't stopped destroying our democracy and constitutional rights. On the contrary, labor rights are now under attack. Workers have to make an extreme decision. Either they accept a mandatory vaccination or they'll have to stop working, being utterly deprived of their wage in the process. The subtle nature of a similar blackmail is now crystal clear, and we cannot let it happen without opposing. Not only we cannot participate to any social nor cultural activity, but from this January, we won't be able to have access to any kind of public transport. We decided to make this video hoping for international support and solidarity. We are constricted, both physically and mentally. And I know that we are not the only ones in this world. I know that a lot of us are living the same situation. So let's get united. Let's fight together, side by side, and create a new, better world in which we want to live. Because Italy is no longer the happy and democratic land that our politicians and media are trying to depict with their false narrative. Italy is now a country where any kind of freedom and human rights are ceasing to exist. Day by day, Italy is becoming a truly authoritarian and apartheid-based sanitary regime, led by a powerful and self-assertive prime minister who can act without any real scrutiny, limitation, or accountability. The system of check and balances among the three powers has been sabotaged by Mario Draghi, who nullified the primacy of the parliament by overthrowing its established role as the lawmaker entity of this country. Such a coup happened with the acquiescence, if not the complicity, of the totality of the Italian institutions, judicial authorities, and political parties, including the so-called opposition bloc. Most of all, our President Sergio Mattarella, the head of state, whom we Italians entrust as the impartial keeper of the Constitution, has decided to quietly approve any kind of decision made by Draghi's cabinet, nullifying his role as impartial figurehead. Indeed, the President of the Republic is now openly supporting the climate of stigmatization and reproach against the unvaccinated people in his public speeches, something that the government has been encouraging for the past 2 years. As far as we're concerned, we can't study, work, and live with serenity. But despite all the odds, we will keep on fighting for our constitutional rights, for our freedom of choice and our right to study. We are standing up for our democracy.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm an Italian med student, and today I want to tell you how the Italian government made my life miserable just because I decided to refuse an experimental gene therapy which could have severe consequences for my health. Firstly, I'm not allowed to go to the restaurant, to the cinema, to the pub, or to the gym. It's funny, because this government pretends to care for my health while it is actually preventing me from going to the gym, which would make me healthier than I already am, and it is also preventing me from having a social life, which could lead me to depression and to all the negative consequences that depression has on the mind and the body of a young man like me. Secondly, I'm not allowed to take a bus, a train, or a plane if their destination is within national boundaries. Basically, I'm only allowed to take my car to move into this country, otherwise I'm gonna get fined and possibly thrown out of the bus or the train, or not allowed into the plane. Right now, I'm still allowed to take part into lessons and to give exams as long as I provide a negative COVID test, which only lasts 48 hours. It costs 15 euros each time I take it, and also it is really intrusive. By the way, that may soon not be enough, because the government is considering to introduce a vaccine mandate for university as well, which would make my life even more uncertain than it already is. My situation is very, very difficult, also because my family doesn't support me in this regard. But I still think that we should keep fighting and keep resisting against this COVID tyranny and never ever concede to these tyrants who sooner or later will face the consequences for their actions. Thanks for your attention.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I live in Pavia, where I studied dentistry at the university before I chose not to be part of a social injustice and a medical experimentation. The University of Pavia is one of the most ancient universities in Italy and was founded in 1361. Here, in November 1778, Alessandro Volta became professor in experimental physics. This past year has been demanding for me and for my fellow colleagues, since we felt alone and discriminated against for our own thoughts and beliefs about the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. I have learned in my studies that real science doesn't force you to believe, it just shows you. And what did the COVID certification for working, studying, and social occasions show us? That the Italian government is guilty of creating unhealthy places, since you can still catch and pass COVID with the vaccine, firstly. Secondly, it's creating discrimination, social exclusion through blackmail and the use of force. And it's preventing the right to study and education through a certification we call Green Pass. Is this what real science needs to do to be heard? Aren't universities meant to be a place for exchanging ideas, opinions, theories? The term university itself comes from Latin universitas, which means wholeness, altogether. So what are we going to lose in terms of social, intellectual enrichment? How many lives, dreams, hopes are we going to sacrifice in the name of a new religion we now call science?
Hi, my name is Gloria. I'm a professional photographer and a Fine Art Academy student. I'm making this appeal to raise the public awareness of what we have experienced here in Italy. Many of you remember Italy as an open and supportive country, but several things have changed over the past 2 years. We are living through a very hard and difficult period, which is difficult to imagine, especially in those who haven't experienced the same privation of human rights in the rest of the world, especially in Europe. In March 2020 until the end of May, we had one of the most devastating lockdowns in the whole world. We were literally placed under house arrest. We spent the whole 2021 between curfews. It was forbidden to go out after 10 p.m., division into white, yellow, orange and red zones. Almost all commercial activities have been remained closed, and many have failed because the government that imposed their closure didn't provide sufficient aid to meet the cost. Despite this, many people have died of COVID-19. We have the highest death rate in Europe, mainly because the state failed to guarantee assistance to people from the first symptoms. Many got worse because they were left alone, without medicine and medical assistance. Many young people like us have committed suicide and couldn't cope with the depression caused by this social condition. We have come to the point of having a situation today which is paradoxal. All the media have unleashed a social hatred of unvaccinated people. The government has introduced the Green Pass to work, study and do any business. Those who are not vaccinated and regular with the number of doses imposed by the government cannot work, study or move from their home. We passed from a civil society to a society where human rights are guaranteed only if you obey and submit yourself to a medical treatment. I was strongly advised by an hematologist doctor to do not take the vaccination due to my predisposition to thrombosis, which is why I cannot take many common drugs. I cannot be exempted because the government hasn't established guidelines for my condition, despite the cases of adverse reaction and despite the fact that there have been young women who died following vaccination due to a thrombosis. If I don't take a drug that could be dangerous for my health, and not only one time, but several times every few months, I will no longer be able to work, study, have a social life, or get on public transport, even on an airplane. There are many cases of young people damaged after the first dose who won't be exempted from the second one, or people damaged by the second dose who won't have the exemption for the third one, and so on. Ask yourself if this can be a right situation or if we are facing abuses of power. We are absolutely not against science and not against the vaccine. I'm also vaccinated for many other diseases, but we are against the public abuse of a medical treatment to impose decisions that are devastating the lives of people on all fronts. The Italian government must be ashamed for all of this. Please give us a hand. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Luca and I'm a student of the University of Bologna, one of the livest student cities in Italy. Now the government has taken a very controversial measure in order to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Now we need a certificate of vaccination or recovery in order to take part in every aspect of society. Me personally, I am not vaccinated, even if I have absolutely nothing against it, which means I cannot go to university classes in presence. I cannot use the university library. I cannot take part in any physical activity in any gym hall. I cannot be inside or outside even any pub, restaurant or bar, even if I am wearing a mask and practicing social distancing. The list does not end here though. As of very recently, I cannot use public transportation. I cannot take buses, trains, ships even, which makes it a very pertinent problem. I would like to conclude this video with one question. Does the end justify the means? Does one supposedly good end justify the suppression of rights of an entire category of people and discriminatory policies against them?
Hello, I'm a 23 years old student. I'm Chiara at the Academy of Fine Arts in Italy, and I need to report my personal situation about the very bad political measures our government is adopting. Unvaccinated people are not allowed to go to work. They're not allowed to social events, restaurants, museums, or expositions. They cannot take a bus, they cannot take a train, they are forbidden to take an international flight. So we are stuck in here. And Green Pass is becoming a real discriminating measure, especially for a student like me. I am referring to Green Pass as a political measure because even though the majority of people is vaccinated with double or triple booster, cases are increasing much more than the earlier months. So the situation is handled very badly by our government, and I'm not allowed to attend my university classes without taking a tampon to prove I am healthy. But it wouldn't be a problem if it was free. Instead, I have to pay by my own 15 euros for a tampon that lasts 48 hours every time I need to attend a university lesson. And I'm a student, so I do not work, and even if I wanted, I could not. I have a health problem, so I cannot take the vaccine, but it's quite impossible to achieve a vaccination exemption. Here in Italy, the political situation is a total disaster. I'm asking for help. I'm appealing to Europe to do something for Italy. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Simona De Cortis and I'm a master's student at the University of Sassari in Sardinia, Italy. I had to move to Spain in order to give my exams because I decided not to participate to the current medical research against the COVID-19. I am free to say no, but this freedom led me to move, to leave my country in order to finish my studies. And this is not freedom at all. So we are here with my colleagues to stand for freedom, because if we have no access to knowledge, we have no access to awareness, and we are not free, as knowledge and awareness are the key for freedom. And nobody can steal us the right to study, the right to become whatever we want to, the right to be free to say yes and also to say no, the right to decide for our body and for our lives. So thank you for standing with us for freedom, for knowledge, for awareness. All together, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Valerio, and I study at Foscaro University in Venice. And my third year in university started with the implementation of new anti-COVID measures, namely the Green Pass. Now the situation is getting more upsetting. As of the 10th of January, the antigen test is not valid anymore to get the certificate, which you can only obtain through vaccination or recovery for a whole spectrum of activities, for example, access to means of transportation, to name one. I have not been able to attend classes like my colleagues this whole year, which is unfortunate given that I study Asian languages and I need to exercise in presence. I fear that in the future I'll not be able to take exams anymore. If that happens, my education will be put to an end. My old friends see me as a selfish person for not wanting to undergo a therapy that I don't need and have excluded me from their lives. There's a contradiction in all of this. The government is using coercive methods to protect a minority who cannot be vaccinated for sanitary reasons. But in doing that, is attacking a bigger minority, causing great political, social, and economic instability. Is this really the only way?
I took part in Trieste's Pacific demonstrations in October, where I saw the clueless policies violence that raised awareness in me, allowing me to increase a more solid position towards the protection of our civil and constitutional rights.
As soon as the COVID passport was introduced in Italy last summer, it was not possible for me anymore to do my dream job, which is teaching, because teachers are now forced to get vaccinated in order to work.
So far, I'm allowed to go to school, but I'm not allowed to get on the public transportation because it's mandatory to have a COVID pass.
Hi everybody, I'm an Italian student. My life has deeply changed in the last 2 years. I wouldn't even know where to begin. While I'm walking down the street, people look at me like a criminal because I'm not wearing a mask. They always want to know whether you're vaccinated or you're not, as if your body belongs to them. Well, I want to say a couple of things. I can give up going to the restaurant, to the cinema, or to the disco. I can accept that the school and the university have become a simple set of speeches that you watch on the display of a computer. I can even try to understand the unconditional fear of a virus and of a disease. But what I don't understand is why my opinions, my ideas, my thoughts must not be respected. Why I should be put out of the society, like someone said. And sincerely, I don't understand how we could have come to this. Anyway, I really hope this situation will end. I'm trying to maintain my sanity, even though they're pushing me to the limit and the air I'm breathing is heavy, full of hate, full of anger and hypocrisy. Luckily, I have friends and family which help me in this. And I will keep studying. I will hold on to my dreams. And New Year has just begun. And I want you to know I will stand. Love you.
Hi, I'm Lucrezia from Rome and I'm a student at Ca' Foscari in Venice. I'll read you a few lines of mine, and just to give you a little bit of a context, I'll tell you that the 6th of December was the day when the Super Green Pass came into force in Italy. 25th of November. I remember it rained that day. The sky was white as pure feelings and was grey as nostalgia of something that was about to be taken away from me once again. I could already feel that feeling of loss, which was so powerful, damn too powerful it was that day. On that day I realized the tipping point had been reached. Looking forward was the only way to go on, because, I am quoting Viktor Frankl here, when we are no longer able to change the situation, then we are challenged to change ourselves. Back then, just as much as today, I felt like I was in every single drop, falling endlessly, rebirthing endlessly, in each new droplet of that endless sky that covered me and lulled every pain of mine. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. I see. Each of us is a droplet of that wet sky, white as pure feelings, grey, not anymore. That is the attitude. It will keep on raining, we all know. We'll keep on feeling as falling raindrops, but at some point we realize we became part of the soil from which some pure new feelings will grow. And when the harvesting time comes, something will change on earth.